The firing of FBI Director James Comey sent shockwaves around the world, particularly in Russia. CBS News correspondent Elizabeth Palmer got the rare chance to speak to Russian President Vladimir Putin. She got his reaction yesterday at a hockey rink in the resort city of Sochi. Elizabeth Palmer is there with the interview you will see only on CBS This Morning. Elizabeth, good morning.
Good morning. We were here in the southern Russian town of Sochi, where the last Winter Olympics were held, just as the Russian president was preparing to play in an amateur hockey tournament.
Hello, Mr. Putin.
President Vladimir Putin, game face on, came down the tunnel and paused to make a political point.
How will the firing of James Comey affect U.S.-Russia relations?
Увольнение? Да никак не повлияли.
There will be no effect.
Ваш вопрос выглядит, вы меня не сердитесь, пожалуйста, он выглядит смешным для меня.
Your question looks very funny for me. Don't be angry with me.
Мы не имеем к этому никакого отношения.
We have nothing to do with that.
Президент Трамп действует в рамках своей компетенции, предусмотренной Конституцией и законом.
Is acting in accordance with his competence and in accordance with his law and constitution.
Мы здесь при чем?
What about us? Why we?
Я вот видите, в хоккей собираюсь играть с любителями.
You see, I'm going to play hockey with the hockey fans.
President Putin plays a good offensive game on the ice and on the world stage. And in this case, it's a charm offensive. His comments supporting Donald Trump were bolstered in Washington by the appearance of Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, in the Oval Office with President Trump. Also there, the controversial Russian ambassador, Sergei Kislyak, whose contacts with the Trump team were being investigated by the FBI under the now-fired James Comey. Back at the hockey rink, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov led us to a back room to insist one more time that Russia has been unfairly blamed for meddling in U.S. affairs.
This cloud of suspicion around Russia and Russia's intentions has just got thicker. How do you repair your reputation?
Well, actually, we are extremely sorry about that. Some political figures in the United States and some other countries of the world, they all of a sudden have chosen a way of earning domestic victories and domestic political points by creating an external threat.
The high-level diplomatic contact between the Trump administration and the Russians continues today. Secretary of State Tillerson is in Alaska for a meeting about the Arctic with both the Russian ambassador and the foreign minister. The Kremlin already this morning has said it's cautiously optimistic about the future of U.S.-Russian relations in light of the last 24 hours. Gayle?
Elizabeth, always interesting to see an interview with Vladimir Putin because he certainly doesn't give them to American media. How did you get this story?
We were in Sochi to talk to the Kremlin spokesman, and he was here because his boss was playing in this amateur hockey tournament. So we asked, could we pose a question to the president? And after a little bit of back and forth, they said yes, and they physically positioned us where I could intercept him as he was coming out onto the ice. But make no mistake, this is very carefully thought out. The Russians wanted to send a message, a friendly message to the United States.
Carefully thought out indeed. In fact, we've learned that it was President Putin himself who asked President Trump to invite Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, into the Oval Office for this meeting that is now on the front pages of all of the papers around the world. What do you think the goal was?
The Russians hoped they would get along very well with President Trump, and it's all gone very wrong. They're now trying to rebuild the relationship. They very much want to be seen to be partners with the United States because that's good for their reputation. It would be very popular here in Russia. And the end game, of course, is to get those sanctions lifted as soon as possible.
All right, Elizabeth Palmer in Sochi, Russia. Thank you.